2, 1. Welcome back to another exciting head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. Check it out, guys. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was in October, in the teens area, I was having a little conversation with two of my subscribers about the 2-year-old Katie Flynn from Walhalla, Michigan, who went missing on this, I think it was like a log, maybe like a log ramp, because he was, I think he was like a logger. I guess he supplied logs to people when they wanted to build their homes or something like that. And I think they have used when you in areas like that and you're manufacturing, logs or whatever, cutting them down for whatever use, because like that's where wooden chairs come from and everything. So back in them days, they had this long slide, well, kind of like a embankment that they had to carry the stuff down in, in a horse-drawn carriage. They put the logs on there and the horse takes it down to where they gotta process the logs. That's the kind of company he worked for. Now, I believe he owned the company. I'm not sure. But a little girl named Katie Flynn went missing because she was going up and down, this embankment, on the goat or the horse that, she would, ride it up and down. And now there was one part, like when this happened, somewhere in between those up and down trips, she just disappeared. And at that point, her father saw that she never came back down. That's when he got worried. He was with a friend and they went looking for her. Now, in between all them looking for her, I don't think he found her at that point because the story was real short. They said that him and a friend was looking for her, and they came up to a river, and on the other side was his daughter standing on top of a log. And they saw this tall, brown-looking, hairy thing standing next to her. They thought it was a bear at first, and the bear when the bear or creature saw the father and his friend, this thing jumps in the river and disappears, in the distance. But from what I read, there's a little story in between all that of what happened between the time when she went missing and when she was found. It says here that man abduction 1869, but it says canines, they can't hold berries, with their paws, which is true. Now, perhaps, this was the best explanation, a 2-year-old could give, after seeing a creature, when she encountered a creature. So, I guess by it being hairy, she thought it was a dog or a wolf. But what she actually may have seen was a Bigfoot. Think about it. Bigfoots, they're tall, they're hairy, and for a creature like that she called a dog or a wolf was to kneel down, extend its paw with some berries in it for her to eat. No canine is going to do that. No dog or no wolf is going to do that because their paws only stay like this. They don't flip them up like this unless they're on their backs dead or something like that, or on their side, when they sleep. So yeah, I think that some people even said it could have been Dogman. That was the first thing they talked about. I never heard them say anything about a Bigfoot. Bigfoots have been existing for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, and they've only been really recorded. I would say when that story broke about this man who recorded a Bigfoot walking through a trail with a bunch of down logs, and you literally saw it. It was big as life, and it was clear, it was crisp, and you literally saw it walking along this path through the woods. And it was an opening, you know, it was like an open area where there was no trees, and you saw it disappear back in the woods. Now, I watched that video, and it had breasts, so that meant it was a female Bigfoot. And the breasts were flopping, so you know it was real. You know, because most people would try to say, "Oh, this is a person in a gorilla outfit." I've seen those gorilla outfits; they don't have breasts, and I mean female breasts. They have a chest that's like covered in, you know, that leather like skin, but no, that wasn't it. There wasn't no gorilla suit. It was Bigfoot. It had breasts, and it was flopping as it was walking, and it had that little side to side, you know, upper torso twist as it's walking, you know, and the arms were swinging. And you looked at it, had a lot of features that resemble Bigfoot. Now I'm gonna go to the part about, you know, Les Stroud, you know, with Survivor Man, but he also had a segment called Survivor Man Bigfoot, and there was a guy who was a Bigfoot hunter, and well, I won't say hunter. He didn't hunt Bigfoot. He basically just tracked Bigfoot, you know, professionally for a living. And he has some of the most compelling and crisp and up close to your face shots of Bigfoot. Now, anybody who has seen this video, if you believe in Bigfoot, and if you're a Bigfoot researcher and all that stuff, and you could actually say that this is truly real, then I applaud you, because I think it's real. I mean, just looking at the features of a Bigfoot, everybody looks at Bigfoot and thinks that it's some missing link. Us, what we looked like back then, that somehow survived the Proterozoic era, you know, and survived, just like Nessie. But Nessie's in the water, though. We're talking about thousands of years of surviving. Now, most of us can't live past 75, some past 50, some even 30, 20. It goes back to like infancy. But they've been lasting for thousands of years, feeding off of Earth's creatures. Maybe it's a vegetarian. I don't know. I just know that they've been here for thousands of years. So if they're the missing link, that's a lot of surviving in the wilderness. Not worrying about, you know, the world's technology and living in a house instead of staying out there in the woods, you know, roughing it. Hey, maybe it could be the missing link. I don't know. But I do know this, that I think that that's what Katie Flynn saw. She saw Bigfoot. Because think about it. If the paw was upside down with a pile of berries in his hand, obviously that's what it was. Or it could have been a Bigfoot. It could have been Dogman. Those are my two suggestions. Dogman and Bigfoot. Okay? Now, instead of just jumping ahead, you know, about the father finding his daughter standing on top of that log, we're going to get in between what happened when they found out that she was missing. And it says here, Walhalla, Michigan, 1869. And I'm only reading it from my phone, but I can't get it on the internet. So I don't know why. Because, you know, that's a very old story. And there's a lot of Katie Flynn's out there. And there's a Katie Flynn from like that same time period, I believe. Her name is Katie Flynn, but she's an author. So, yeah, it was pretty hard to find that story. So, I literally would type in certain key words just to see if I can get it. And I can't get it. I was lucky enough to find it on my phone, because this was actually on Facebook. That's the only reason why I was able to find it. And I think I did find it on my phone, but it's kind of weird, though. You can't find something on your computer, the membrane of all the search, but I can find it on my phone. Why does that happen? That's weird. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. So, like I said, I had to read it from my phone. And it says here, 1869, 2-year-old Katie Flynn went missing. Searchers the next day jumped a huge fur-covered creature. Reporters labeled a bear. It jumped into the river and vanished on the other side. Katie was found by the river. She told her father she had been playing when a big dog / wolf walked up to her, held out its paw. She took it, and the two walked off into the woods. The dog left her for a while, then returned with berries, which they shared after he held them out for her to take, meaning held out its paw. Okay. The creature then scraped up leaves, around her. Finally, the big dog laid down next to her and and covered her with his body to keep her warm overnight. Walhalla, Michigan has had over 100 missing persons since the 1800s. The population of this town is only 2,200 people. 2,200. Now think about it. 1800s. 2,200 people. Don't you think that place should be deserted by now? I'm just saying. Now, I may be exaggerating a little bit. Because I haven't counted the years. It could still be maybe a couple hundred. But they said 2,200. So, obviously, it was a lot more people than that. Of course. But I'm just saying, the population of that town is 2,200. Now, unless they're going back to the 1800s, they would have to have been more than that, right? I don't know if they mean now there's only 2,200 people, or they mean 2,200 in a whole since the 1800s. So, I don't know, but that's what it says in between the part where you read. Well, the first time I heard about this story was on Coast to Coast because they were Politis were talking about it. That's how I found out about it. I never heard about this story until that night, that morning when I was listening to it, and he was saying all of this, but he didn't have the information about this part in the middle. The only part that he was able to get was, and I'm pretty sure, that wasn't his fault. That was probably the only information he had at that point. And that was probably the only information he could get. Because think about it, I can't even get it on my computer. I typed in Katie Flynn. I spelled it right because the first time I tried looking for it, I spelled it Flynn. Okay? So when I typed in Flynn, I couldn't find it. Nothing. It was on everything else but her. There's even another Katie Flynn that was killed. She was murdered by somebody. I think it was, I don't know what year. I think it was like maybe 1990 something. But yeah, she was 7 years old and she was murdered by somebody. And I don't know if they still trying to get him on a murder charge, a death penalty or whatever. But anyway, like I said, there's a lot of Katie Flynns out there since this Katie Flynn. And she ain't on that no more. So whatever information he was able to get at that time, that's the only information they may have had, because this is one of those cold cases. Because, she was found, so there was no need to even talk about it anymore. I guess they never really followed up on her to see what she did, what she's been doing, because she was still alive. She wasn't hurt. She wasn't scathed. She wasn't wet, because this thing kept her safe. Okay? It didn't try to eat her. It didn't try to do none of that stuff. It didn't try to make her disappear. It just took care of her. Now, for what reason why he would know to do that is because I do hear that they do have offspring. Smaller, Bigfoot that are actually children of theirs. And that was one of the videos that guy from Let's Drive Bigfoot, Survivor Bigfoot had. It was he had one video of a Bigfoot that was walking down. He was up on this big embankment, like a hill, or a hill or something like that, or a big rock maybe, a big ass boulder that it was standing on. It had a flat surface, just like that. But anyway, it was looking. The camera was pointed down, so it was in a area where there was like a large row of trees, with leaves all over the place. But you could actually still see it, and it just like 1 minute it was just standing there in that one spot, and then it just walked off. And then there was another one where you actually saw the creature, the Bigfoot, behind a row of leaves on a tree. And the face was like as plain as day. You could see it. It was like, I'm like, wow, okay. All the depictions of what Bigfoot really looked like ain't nothing compared to this. So there's actually people out there that don't believe that that's what he caught. A lot of people don't believe that because they've never caught footage that close up. That's what I was saying before about what's happening with these people. You ask questions all the time. What is doing this? I know it's something weird, but what is it? What's going on? Why are they vanishing? You start hearing stuff about wormholes and them being pulled into it and getting sent to another level, a parallel Earth. Okay, so what's the problem? That's your answer right there. I know there's a lot of other answers that could come up about this. There's nothing logical about it. But, well, I can say it is logical, but it's a logic that you can't comprehend right now. So that is logical. Just not your kind of logical. Think about it. These are things that you can't understand, you can't explain, just because you don't have the knowledge of what's going on. You're creating the knowledge by trying to figure it out. So you got to try use your own words and your own theory to describe it. Therefore, you create the reason why. But if a person just said okay, it was probably a wormhole. Think about it. That's the only way she could have ever vanished without a trace. You can't just make someone disappear like that. There's still going to be some kind of evidence somewhere, especially if a human did it. So if it's something beyond what humans can do, and she just vanished without a trace, obviously she got sucked into a wormhole and was sent to another level somewhere. Maybe she got sent into space. I don't know. But these wormholes normally connect with another Earth. And she got sent to this Earth not knowing how her life is going to be, because her family's here. She's over there. That means she'll have to grow up and die without her family. She ain't going to have no way to get back home. These wormholes are a one-way trip. Okay? You can't get back to the same one because there's too many of them. It's just like, when they make that little man figure with the paper, but they fold it up and fold it up and fold it up, and then they cut it into a man figure, and then when you open up, boom, you got all these people. That's how it is with these wormholes. You got all these different Earths with one wormhole leading to all of them, or ones that open up. So you got this like an interconnected thing going on with this Earth and that Earth, and the one after that, and the one after that, and so on and so on and so forth, etc. It just keeps going and going and going like the ever-ready battery. So, like I said, there is no way to get back. There's too many Earths to get to because of these wormholes. They open up in different areas all the time. So, think about it. That's the only way that he could ever disappear. Young or old, it doesn't matter. If a wormhole opens up, you get sucked into it, and that's it. You're done. Here. You gotta live a new life there. Any person that has ever disappeared without a trace, you gotta think about it. And just accept it. A wormhole sucked them in and sent them to another Earth. That's the only way you can describe someone just vanishing without a trace. People keep trying to figure out how can you explain someone vanishing without a trace. You come up with all these things like Bigfoot. Maybe they got eaten. There would be something left, don't you think? But not really, because think about it. When they found the remains of Jared Attadero, his freaking skull was wiped clean. There was nothing left. Okay? Now, the only thing they found was the top of his cranium. So that means the other half had to have been separated from that. Why? Because he was probably eaten by something that was able to just devour his entire body in just one bite. Or maybe, just maybe, this is just a theory, maybe he met with a wormhole and the wormhole closed on his cranium at the very top. Maybe, I don't know. It probably closed, because I would imagine if a creature could literally just eat him, like just open up his mouth, his leg going down like this here, and then bite down on it, the only thing that's left at the top of his head. Or it just kept eating until it got to this part, and then it spit it out. I don't know. I hate to sound very about that, and I would hope that his father would not think of it as being too brash. But you gotta look at it like that because it's creepy. So you can only have a creepy answer. You can't hear something or talk about something creepy. Well, have a question about something creepy and expect a normal, everyday, happy answer. It's not gonna work. Okay? I'm not trying to be facetious when I say it. I'm not trying to be harsh. But you gotta have an answer for it at some point. What, are you just gonna not want to hear it for the rest of your life? You want to know what happened, don't you? I'm just saying. I mean, I get a lot of flack about that sometimes. Not a lot, but some people will say, well, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What about the family? They don't want to hear this. They want to know what happened to their child. Hello, what do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to give them the best possible answer. This is just one level of it. You got your logical and you got your illogical. Think about it. If the person vanishes without a trace, they're presumed dead because they can't find their bodies, right? But that doesn't mean that they're dead. If they can't find the bodies, then something else happened. That would mean you have to come up with an answer that is so out of the ordinary that that's the only way you can explain it. So what do? You bring up wormholes or portals. Okay? That's the only explanation. So if I say that and the family don't believe it because they would rather hear, oh, someone took my child and killed him. That's the only thing they can accept because that is just a normal way of wanting to know what happened to their child. I understand that. But no matter how many times you want to hear that, knowing that the case doesn't make any sense, it's creepy. How is it that my little girl, my daughter, just vanished without a trace? What are you going to say to these people? Are you just going to lie to them just to protect their feelings? Well, I mean, that's what they're doing, obviously, you know. But at some point, they are going to have to know the truth. They're going to find out regardless. So I would rather prepare their minds for this, for that moment when they finally hear the truth. They'll be more able to accept it because they have a knowledge of it. People fear what they don't understand. But if you give them the information for them to understand, then they won't fear it, right? So that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. I don't mean to be this way because most people ain't going to want to hear it because it doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. So they say, oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. But if it's okay, just because it's not logical doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. Or it shouldn't make sense. I mean, yeah, it's not going to make sense. It's because you don't have any knowledge of it. Think about it. Every single thing that you know about is because you learned about it. You studied about it. You went to school for it. It's knowledge in your mind. So you're not afraid of it, right? I'm pretty sure, like, okay, let's just say you wanted to be a doctor, but you, of course, had to go to school for that, right? But think about it. Before that, all that stuff probably freaked you out. Maybe when you were younger. And you never liked hospitals because, you know, like, say you had to go to a clinic and get a needle. So you don't like hospitals now because you got to get needles there too. Of course, it's a little bit more because you probably not seen all these people going in there. They're hurt, you know, about to die, whatever. So it freaks you out, which is understandable. But when you went to school to learn more about the whole medical thing, when you see these people coming in there, you don't know what they're doing because you don't have any knowledge of it. They're in there saving lives. But just the fear of seeing all that, the people getting hurt, accidents, some of them are dislimbed or decapitated or, you know, all kinds of stuff. That stuff will freak anybody out. But when you learn about the medical field and what you can do to help these people, then that part just makes a lot more sense to you. But imagine this stuff here. It's very strange. It's mysterious. It's creepy. It's not making any sense. That's only because you don't have the knowledge of what all that is all about. Now, you can sum it up and say, oh, it's probably aliens. They took them. That would be the only way you could think. That would be the only way you could think when it comes to that. Because they disappeared. They never came back. They vanished. So, what do you think? Oh, they was abducted by aliens. Which is a possibility. I'm not saying that wouldn't be a possibility. I'm not saying that at all. But there aren't that many cases of people being taken by aliens and not coming back. I have heard of certain stories, but that was only if the one story I heard, and I think David Politis talked about it on the Coast to Coast. He said that this one guy, his brother died. One maybe not David Politis. It might have been somebody talking about, you know, death in the afterworld or whatever. And this young guy, I think he was still a teenager, his brother died. And when he saw his brother again, a UFO landed somewhere where he was at, right in front of him, and all of a sudden his brother is walking out of this UFO with an alien. So that makes you wonder, where do you actually go after you die? You go with aliens and live out a dream of traveling all over the galaxy? Maybe. I don't know. And then you just say, oh, I want to see my brother. But your brother thinks you're dead. And you are dead, but I don't know. Maybe you got incarnated into another type of being. I don't know. Like I said. But you have knowledge of this stuff that you don't understand. That creeps you out. It's unknown to you. You know, yeah. It's understandable. But when you learn about this stuff, the knowledge of it will make you not so afraid because you have a better understanding of it. You be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And all of a sudden you're not scared anymore because you understand that. It freaked you out because it was just too, you don't know nothing about it. You just see something that looks scary. Like people disappearing. That would scare you because you're like, it's just something that just starts happening. You just, boom, out of the blue, somebody done vanished, literally vanished, and they can't find them. And then after that, they end the search. Nothing. No clothing, no nothing. Nothing is found. Except for maybe their identification being a car or whatever. But the car is like way over there somewhere in the parking lot. You halfway into the forest and you vanish. It's like you walk into a wall of nothing. Okay? Kind of like a field of dreams kind of thing. You know, you just walking in the forest. Everybody knows you're out there, and all of a sudden, when you didn't come back when you say you were, then they go out there looking for you. They can't find you. They don't even know how it is you could have even disappeared. They just know you went in there, you never came out. That's the worst part. When you coming out there to find someone that you knew was in there, but you don't know how it is you could have just vanished. It doesn't make any sense to them because they don't realize what happened. They don't have the knowledge of what happened. So if a person comes up with a theory of wormholes, it starts to make sense. Right? I think so. It starts to make sense. That could be the only way, other than an abduction. But like I said, you don't hear too many stories about people going into a spaceship and never coming back. That's why they call them abductions, not you leaving the Earth in a UFO. Two different scenarios. You don't call it a UFO if it's leaving the Earth. You just say it is a person went into it, walked into a UFO, it took off into the air, and it left the Earth, and he never came back. He went on a ride of his life. But an abduction is a whole different definition. That means they were taken by UFO aliens. They're probably given information or whatever, and then they bring them back. And then there's this thing about missing time. You know, like a gap of the time that they lost was them being there. And I think that the missing time is just you not knowing. Well, let's just say you know what time it was before you happen. You wake up or whatever, and then you see a clock. It looks like it's been about 3 hours. Okay, missing time is just basically a chunk of your memory being taken. You know, it's like you stop existing, and all of a sudden you come back, and then bam, you in a different time period. It's only a couple of minutes, or maybe even an hour or two, but it's like you just blank out, and then boom, you wake up. The blank out is the key. Somewhere in that gap, you were doing something, or they were doing something to you, but they took that away from you. They blackened it out. They dark, they just, it's there. It's just they're blocking it somehow. That's why you have to do hypnotic regression for that. You know. But like I said, people, I think this is what she saw. I really do, because if it's a Bigfoot, obviously that's how it works. A Bigfoot can do that because it actually has a hand. It don't have a paw. But for it to be hairy like that, like a dog, that's what she would call it. A Bigfoot a dog, because she didn't know what a Bigfoot was. But the next thing she could even describe would be a dog or a wolf. Now, it didn't have a snout of a wolf, maybe. Maybe it did. Maybe it was some sort of creature that looked like a Bigfoot, but it had a snout. Maybe a werewolf. Now, a werewolf got hands, not paws. Yeah, he got, those elongated hind legs, where it looked like he's just walking on his toes or something like that. It had that. You saw that photo that I showed you anyway, so you know what I'm talking about. But it had hands. A werewolf has hands. So maybe it was a werewolf. That's probably the reason why she said it was a dog. Dogs have snouts. See, that's the part that not everybody's not thinking about. If she called it a dog, that means it had a snout. That would be the only way she could determine that's what it was, other than it being hairy. So yeah, it could have been a Bigfoot, but if you think about the fact that she described it as a dog, that means it had a snout, right? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. That's what she probably saw, a werewolf. And I know werewolves ain't real. No, trust me. If a Bigfoot is real, a werewolf is real. And so are fairies. I ain't talking about Tinkerbell. I mean actual fairies. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Everything is possible. So that means everything is real. They don't want you to believe in that crap, because that'll give you too much free thought. They wanted you to believe only what they wanted you to believe. That's how the control gets set in. But I'm not one of them people, as you can see. I'm on here talking about the government and all this stuff. I'm still here. Like Morpheus. I'm still here. I hope I will still be here after saying that. Oh, man. But, I'm no threat. I'm really not. People gonna find out the truth anyway, so it don't matter. And I think they know that too. Think about it. If they was outside my house, they could have easily came in here and took my hard drive, if I had one, which I don't. But they could have took my computer, or they could have smashed it, but they didn't. I come back in here a couple months later, and I see this. No more computer. I may be off the air for a while. So if I'm off the air for like maybe a couple months until I can get me another computer, then that's why. But until then, I will be right here giving you guys everything you need for your information. Yeah. I had a good day today, okay? So, but yeah, I think that's what it was. She saw Bigfoot. Think about it. Well, not about that, but I just talked about one subject for like 35 minutes. I'm thinking that it's been about an hour, but it hasn't. It will be if I keep talking. But like I said, that whole Katie Flynn story was crazy. I just didn't know there was so much more attached to the story, because when David Paulides talked about it, he only talked about the fact that she went up and down this log ride, you know, and somewhere in between those rides up and down, she just disappeared. So now here's my question: when that thing was moving, how did she get off of it? Because she wanted to ride the darn thing, so why would she get off in the middle of the ride? It didn't make any sense. I mean, because she did it more than once. So they know that she was loving that ride and she was going up and down it. And then all of a sudden she gets off. Did the horse stop midstream? And because, okay, now, if she saw this thing, yeah, it might have been in the road as the horse was going up with those logs, with that, you know, cart. And that's when she got off and went over. She was probably intrigued by it, and she probably thought it was like a cuddly stuffed animal or something like that. You know, because you know how they think. So they probably thought it was a puppy or a dog. That kids love dogs. So she gets off and goes over there and plays with it. You know, giggling probably, and then all of a sudden they walk off, and she held his hand. See, when you don't think about a story deep enough, you still ain't gonna figure it out. And I think that's exactly what happened. That Bigfoot or werewolf was either in the middle of the road or was on the side, and it probably startled the horse, and the horse stopped in midstream. You know, and the little girl saw it. She thought it was cute. She probably wanted to go play with it. Like if she saw, like say if a little kid saw a puppy in the area, right? Say if y'all outside and they playing and they see a little puppy, they're gonna want to go over there and play with it. Of course, the parents probably ain't gonna let you do that because the dog probably got rabies. You know, they didn't see the owner. You know, but kids will do that. They don't know any better. So she did the same thing with this creature. She got off the ride. You know, like I said, that thing probably scared the horse, and it probably stopped. You know, or whatever. You know, somewhere in between the ride. And she got, like I said, she got off and started playing with it, and that's when he held out his hand, and they walked off into the forest. And next thing you know, he probably picked her up and carried her across the river, and he put her on a log, and she just stood there. And that was when they were found by the father and that guy's friend, you know, her father's friend. I'm hearing a noise. Weird. I never heard that before. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. That was weird. It was like a noise. It was like, you know, and it was getting really loud. I don't know where it was coming from. At first, I thought maybe it was the sound of a train in the distance, but I would always hear the sound of the horns. I didn't hear that. And I was coming up with all these different things. It could have been maybe a plane coming overhead, but I know the sound because there's a little mini airport on the main road adjacent to my neighborhood. And there's an airport on the other side of it. It's a little small local airport. And so I'm hearing the plane right now. Way different from what I was hearing. Okay, so it wasn't a plane. So I don't know what that noise was. And it stopped. As you know, I could hear the sound just kind of like dissipating, after a while. So I don't know anything I got in my house that could have made that noise. Nothing is on except for my TV and the lights, down here. So, and the lights in the hallway. So there's, I don't got the washing machine going. Because sometimes, washing machines make that noise, when it's getting to like a spin cycle or something like that. But I don't have the washing machine on. I'm not washing any clothes. So, that's another thing I thought it was. I'm like, I'm the only one here. And I'm not washing clothes. So I'm like, okay. But like I said, it's gone now. So that was weird. But y'all know I be having some weird stuff happening to me. Like my phone be going off for no apparent reason and stuff. Every couple of months. Like this, I think the last time that first happened was like last year when I was actually doing a show. So and it happened again maybe about a month ago. It was crazy. So it was probably about a month ago, but not too far though into that month. It was like probably closer to the end of the month. That was a nutty one. Yeah, but yeah. I know one person said you be having some weird things happen to your phone. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm gonna tell you, it was one time. I was at work and I was a friend of mine said she texted me earlier and said she was gonna call me. When she got time because she was babysitting. So my phone started to ring and I was on the other side of my operation. When I was at work, so I'm running over to my phone. But before I can even get in the area where my phone was, the phone line connected. Now, if you got an iPhone, you know how it is. Let's just say you don't have earphones, or you have earphones, but you got the cheap ones, where you got to plug into the phone so you can hear the person when you're talking to them. I had them kind of headphones because the ones I had before with like the Beats, they broke or they stopped working. I think something like that. But anyway, so like I said, I was running to my phone and it connected. And like I said, if you got an iPhone, if you got those cheap headphones you got to plug into your phone, that means you got to open up the call with your finger. I didn't do that. I never got a chance to because it connected right off the back. I'm like, well, what the freak? And I was like, okay, before you start talking, do you know that this phone line just connected and I was nowhere near my phone? Now, if you thought this was weird with Siri activating twice within maybe a couple of months, maybe last year, and what happened to me at work, no comparison. Okay? Can't nothing top that. Well, actually, the stuff that I've seen, there's some couple of things that can top that. But I mean, like as far as dealing with a phone, I don't think anything else could top that. Unless I don't call nobody and they talking to me through the phone. And I'm literally like, say if it's looking like this and all of a sudden you hear someone talking. But you ain't dial nobody's number. Think about it. Now if that happens, I'm done. I'm throwing this phone in the trash. I love my phone now. I love my phone because, I got what I would consider an inner being on my phone. You can't see it because of the glare, but yeah, that's what it looks like. I believe that's what our inner being looks like. It's just energy just shooting out everywhere. But yeah, so yeah, that right there is creepy. But I can't remember what the heck I was talking about before. I think it might have been. It had to have been something dealing with a person being on the phone. But like I said, these disappearances, they are making sense. You just have to be able to grasp them. If you can't grasp it, then it's not going to make any sense to you. I understand it because I'm a weird person. I love this stuff, so I try to tune into it and try to make sense of it. And this is what I came up with. You know, if a person is disappearing like that, it's a wormhole. And like I said, there aren't too many stories you hear of people being abducted, and then all of a sudden, they don't come back. They always come back. They may be in different areas sometimes. Like one person that was abducted from their home, from the inside, ended up on a highway, naked. Not in his home. Because that was a part of the Greada Treaty. When the government signed that treaty with these grays, which are the dark ones, is what I call them. The rules to the abduction thing were that you can abduct them, but you have to bring them back to where you got them. They didn't listen to that. Regardless of them signing that treaty, they started leaving them everywhere in any kind of position or condition. There was one picture I saw, it was a black and white photo of a man's face nearly burned off, and he was abducted. And there's stories of people being devoured. Like they said, like when they went into the New Mexico, the UFO thing. Jeez, I'm having a brain fart right now. The Roswell incident. Yeah, the Roswell incident. Roswell, New Mexico. They said that when they went inside that craft, there was this big vat of blood with body parts in it. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. You know, I've come to not believe anything some of these people be saying on TV because that's just flair for the people and keeping them from the actual truth. Now, a lot of people heard about the guy that was talking about this stuff, and I talked about him on one of my videos from maybe a couple of years ago. But he could be working around along with the government saying these things, making people think what they want them to think. That's what this program is anyway. That's all they do, is keep everybody in a neutral corner somewhere with no information that they need to know. You know, so and they got all the answers. Well, they don't have all the answers. You know, people of a higher power, like, you know, the Creator or our guardian angels have all the answers. They don't. But anyway, that's pretty much it right there. I just want to dig a little deep into that story because it's always been a very fascinating story to me. I always wanted to know more about it. So when I saw that, I was like, oh snap! I didn't even know that even happened because it was so like two big chunks that was missing the center, and then they just put them two together, and all you hear is she disappeared. Father looks for her. He found her on the log. That right there, I'm like, wow. And it opened up a lot more information about what you think could have happened if you have the mindset for that. You know, and that's why I described all that extra stuff, because it makes sense. And that's obviously what happened. You know, so yeah, I'm glad I read that. That was some very interesting information. You know, because like I said, this story was dropped after she was found. You know, nobody else talked about it apparently because she was safe and sound. And she probably grew up into, well, not say probably, but she did grow up into a woman. I'm pretty sure she was very successful, or maybe she just lived a normal life. Got married, had a couple of kids, and died happily as an old woman. But nobody kept up with her. No more information is found of her. You know, I can't even pull her name up on the computer without finding something else because there's a lot of Katie Flynn's out there. You know, but not one. I would have to go because you know at the bottom of the Google search they have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all that. I probably need to do that. I may be able to find it, but I already read it off my phone, so I ain't got to worry about that no more. You know, when I do a video, I just go on to the next one. You know, because there's so much information. But I'm gonna start looking into Michigan because they're talking about there's a lot of people that go missing there and go missing in very mysterious ways. You know, I'm trying to think, is that on that cluster map that David Paulides has? Is Michigan one of them? I think there was a couple of stories, you know, in the first book that I bought of people disappearing in Michigan. I think, because you know, he like whenever he has a story in his book, he has that little grid line where he talks about, you know, time of disappearance and all that stuff, the age and everything, and I would think it would have that in there. So, but anyway, guys, I'm getting a little hungry, so I'm gonna get me something to eat, and I'm gonna end this video. I'm glad, you know, you guys came out to watch this. I know it's late, but sometimes I can only really get the chance to do it this time in the morning or on my day off. But I was so busy both days because I worked Thursday and I was off Friday, but I had to pay bills, so I was running up and down the street. And by the time I got home, I didn't go home. First, I went to see my mom, and we had pizza. You know, I think it was Red Baron pizza. It's pretty good. It tastes like Tostino's pizza, but just a bigger version. But it was still good. You know, she actually gave me 2 big slices. Hey, I'm gonna eat them on my break. I may be eating now. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, but try it out. It's pretty good. But yeah, it's about time for me to get off of here. Like I said, I'm gonna go eat because I'm all very hungry. Gotta eat. Gotta keep my body just. Ooh, yeah. So get off of here, and I'm glad you guys came out to watch this video. I hope you like it. I hope the information does you some good, you know. And for the one that thought it was a boy, it was a girl. Yep, name's Katie Flynn. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna get off here, guys. So you know how I do it at the end of every video. I finally said that without stuttering. Thank goodness. Aloha, mahalo, and hui brother, and wahine. Peace out. Love you. Gotta go. Bye.